90 years ago, the Virginia Farm Bureau made our local farmers a promise to protect and preserve a way of life they work so hard to establish. Today, our insurance agents work to protect all Virginians, not just farmers. We want to keep Virginia, Virginia. More information is at farmbureauadvantage.com.
The remarkable soybean. From its oil, we get products like ink, candles, and paint. From its meal, we get a high-protein fiber used in foods and animal feeds. Natural soy is replacing chemicals and products you use every day. You can learn more about soybeans at vasoybean.com.
Sponsorship opportunities available that will do just that. Get in touch with us to hatch a new plan. Welcome to a special episode of Virginia Farming. I'm Jeff Ishii. This week we dedicate the entire program to a unique effort taking place in the Shenandoah Valley of Virginia. It involves agriculture and students who face extraordinary challenges. Imagine for a moment being a teenager and you're blind. You've never seen the food you eat, but you have a keen interest in learning how that food is grown. And perhaps you might want to grow it yourself. As I said, this is a special episode of our program focused on some very special people. Stay with us. I think you'll be inspired. In the heart of Staunton, Virginia, almost literally in downtown Staunton, sits a farm. But this is no ordinary farm. The Virginia School for the Deaf and the Blind have operated what they call their urban farm for 3 years now. The school is an historic institution, having opened in 1839 in order to serve students with visual and hearing impairments. Over the past 175 years, literally thousands of students have been served by the school's faculty and staff. The campus is considered by many as an historic and a beautiful gem of the Shenandoah Valley. Its architecture and setting, simply stunning. Pat Trice is the current superintendent to the Virginia School for the Deaf and the Blind, which is often referred to as simply VSDB. We asked her to tell the story of the school's urban farming operation and why it's important to students with visual and hearing impairments.
When the school in Hampton closed, VSDB underwent a 4-year renovation project to make the grounds fully accessible, to be able to accept more students with more complicated disabilities. This actual area was the construction site. When the 4-year term was up and the construction was finished, what VSDB had was a 2 to 3 acre area, and now it was newly sodded. And what happened was that then the former superintendent, Dr. Nancy Armstrong, created a partnership with Allegheny Mountain Institute. And from that partnership, the farm came to be. The Allegheny Mountain Institute, where VSDB had the land, AMI had the funding, and they were also looking for a place to establish what is their signature project, which is establishing a farm in a city dwelling. And it has just been tremendously, as you can see, successful. AMI provided the funding, AMI provided the fellows. This is part of their program where the fellows and the interns can come and actually work and become educators. It partnered very well with us because they work to educate and we work to educate. So our students were involved with the aspects of the farm. We also have, prior to the farm actually coming to fruition, we have the CROPS program, which is the VSDB CROPS program. It is a greenhouse program and it is funded by the VSDB Foundation. The CROPS program has been around for approximately 6 to 7 years. Again, they're fully funded by the foundation. The CROPS program is, our greenhouse is actually housed up from the farm. And there are raised beds there. We have the greenhouse, and the students actually work with horticulturalists that work with our teachers, and they go into the classroom and they teach the students. They provide the foundation about what's being planted, how plants work, what plants are what are flowers, what are vegetables, what are the differences. Many of our students have very limited experiences with any type of agricultural concept.
One can only imagine the challenges of teaching students with severe hearing impairments or blind students how to grow vegetable crops, herbs, and fruit. Kara Shanks is the horticulture program manager at VSDB. The acronym for the CROPS program stands for Cooperation, Responsibility, Opportunity, Perseverance, and Skills. Her experience as a member of the FFA in high school inspired her to design a curriculum that would help with building responsibilities, giving students valuable life skills.
So when people ask me what I do for a living and I tell them that I'm a horticulture teacher for deaf and blind students, one of the main things they ask is, how do you teach a deaf or a blind student how to grow anything? And so it was pretty much like teaching any other student how to grow, but we normally use aids, or I've learned to speak more in depth about what makes an ear of corn an ear of corn. Instead of describing it as yellow, I describe how long it is, I describe how hard the kernels are. So we'll take a dry ear of corn and we'll pass it around, and then we'll take corn right off the stalk and we'll pass it around, and we'll talk about the differences between the popcorn kernels you feel in a bag that you buy at the grocery store versus what popcorn kernels feel like when they're growing on the cob.
Minor Moore spent 11 years as a student at the Virginia School for the Deaf and the Blind. He told us through an interpreter that the Urban Farm and the CROPS program have been popular with students. He didn't grow up with a whole lot of farm experience, but he was interested in learning more about where food really comes from.
Well, you notice the students, they've never experienced anything with farm. They don't know anything about it. And so they get really intrigued by it, and they're curious and they want to know. They want to know the right way to eat healthy and how to grow it. So we show them what to do and start with the seeds, and then you can explain like how the things get into the store, because they've never seen that. So when they learn it and it helps them and the education is better, and they just really enjoy it. And so when they see the things at the store and then they see the things here, so the staff, we try to really help explain what's going on and how they can make the connections. And it's a really wonderful experience for them. And the deaf students, because they've never really experienced anything like that before, it helps with their knowledge of the farm, and it just helps them to continue for the many years to come on what's going on.
Superintendent Trice echoed the comments of Moore and says the Urban Farm effort is a unique experience for many students.
Many of our students are actually pulling vegetables out of the ground and eating them out of the ground. They love to do that with the beets. And it's funny because a lot of our students have complex needs. Many of our students' parents are shocked that they are enjoying the greenhouse and the farm as much as they are, because many of our students have maybe sensory issues where they don't want to get their hands dirty, not when it comes to working in the greenhouse and the farm. They are digging into the ground, they are helping, they are involved in every aspect. So it's been just a fabulous learning experience for them.
David Giannino works with the Allegheny Mountain Institute and is farm manager at the VSDB Urban Farm. He tells the story of this unique farming operation from his perspective.
So the farm really serves both the teachers and the students in a really unique way. When Allegheny Mountain Institute came in, the goal was to teach kids about food production, about how to translate, how does this translate into real world positions and jobs and even experiences. When they go to the grocery store, we wanted these students to learn and know that their food comes from the ground, it comes from local farms, it helps build local economies. And the staff is wonderful here at VSDB because they really are trying to integrate their curriculum to bring all the students and try to make sure that every student that comes through the program sets foot on the farm at some point or another and gets experience, harvesting kale and processing it the way that you would on a traditional farm. And so it's created a unique space for kids and students and teachers alike to come and learn about traditional production methods where you wouldn't be able to traditionally, because on a production farm you have to have the technical skills, you have to have experience, but it's a really great, this farm has created a great space for both the teachers and the students to learn, you know, all about production and all about fruits and vegetables and multiple seasons and crops.
Part of that learning is to become independent in their skills and to prepare them for workforce skills and for future employment or post-secondary education beyond the graduation of VSDB. The farm has been, and the CROPS program, both have been such a crucial learning point, because for many of our students, this type of hands-on experience, being able to work on a daily basis, to have instruction, whether it be in sign language, whether it be in Braille, to get their hands into the dirt, to actually see what the start is and the end product, to have teachers working with them and to have staff that have educational goals has been just, it's been so important. We try very hard with our students to create job skills that then, once they go back home, that they will be marketable as productive citizens in their communities. And this, in a sense, gives us agriculture. The greenhouse is providing greenhouse skills. So even for those students that maybe aren't going back home to a rural country farm area, they can take these same skills and they can transfer them into a greenhouse position. It has just been fantastic, and it really broadens their world knowledge.
Giannino, who is once again the urban farm manager, talks about not only the basic gardening and growing skills the deaf and blind students learn, but also the various varieties of plants and methods of production. He gives us some examples of growing techniques used on the urban farm.
So this year we're going to be growing a multitude of tomatoes. We have cherry tomatoes, we have red and gold tomatoes, we have a unique new hybrid tomato that's out, and it's called the tomato berry, and it's the shape of a strawberry, but it's all like a grape tomato. And so I'm really looking forward to teaching kids about when you breed plants, you can get unique traits from different tomato varieties if you breed them for that. And that's how a lot of the F1 hybrids are generated. It's just between breeding of two different parent plants. But one of the things that we're really looking forward to is teaching people about the different methods and styles of staking tomatoes. And we've got individually staked tomatoes. We have this one right here is displaying what's called the Florida weave, where you take the twine on one side of the tomato and you weave it through the tomatoes until your next stake. And it's a way that they use in the industry to really make sure that they're maintaining their plants, but on a cheaper scale, so where they don't have as many stakes available. And then here we have what's called the cage twine, where you're just taking two sides of twines on each side of the tomato. But tomato is a great crop. It's one of those ones that everybody seems to want. They're super sweet, they're super delicious. We're growing hybrids, we're growing heirlooms, we're growing sun golds, really unique tomatoes that I can't wait to kind of get in the garden. So one of our projects, or one of our challenges here, is since we use and utilize sustainable and organic practices, we don't spray any pesticides, and we don't spray anything. A lot of our labor is spent on weeding and on, taking off pests and dealing with pests by our hands. And so one of the great ways that we're able to save some time is to use row covers for pest protection. And we put these row covers out actually earlier in the season, and so it gives us a double whammy. It gives us season extension, so we can put plants into the ground earlier, and it also keeps pests from entering and landing on these crops and laying eggs and building up their populations. It's inevitable that you always have a pest in a garden. It's inevitable, but the more that you can kind of control and keep them out, the better off you'll be. And this row cover is a great system. It creates a physical barrier. It kind of keeps temperatures a little bit warmer inside, so here in the summer it's getting time to finish them up, but it really helps us maintain temperature in there for season extension, especially in the fall when we want to grow crops like spinach or lettuce, and we may get a light frost. This will create frost protection and create a barrier for us to continue to grow those crops.
The urban farm at the Virginia School for the Deaf and the Blind has been very successful due to the efforts of a lot of people, including staff and faculty.
I love my job. I love getting to work with the students. I love working outside. But I think, like I touched on before, one of the biggest things that I get from my job is students that I started working with 3 years ago that didn't know how to slice a vegetable, didn't know how to wash dishes when they were finished doing a recipe, or that some of our students have sensory issues. So some of them, they didn't want to touch dirt. They didn't want to touch a watering hose. They didn't want to get their knees on the ground. Those are now some of the students that are asking me to water in the greenhouse, or asking me if they can dig up potatoes, or asking what recipe we're going to use and how they can get a measuring cup or pour or stir on a stovetop. And those are skills that they were very uncomfortable with 3 years ago. But now with implementing some of these workforce curriculums and some of the daily living skills, these students now have that responsibility and that independence of, I can do this. And in some of our classes, they'll either type up on the brailers or they'll write up the recipes and take them home to use with their families. So we have mom and dads that are now like, my student's eating bok choy and I didn't even know what that was until they wanted me to buy it at the store. So we now have children teaching parents about fresh vegetables that they can have for family meals.
You know, it's a great way to show people that there are ways to do things and to manage these crops appropriately, especially the students who have never done this before in their life and, you know, they want to learn. You know, there's a great documentary where a kid was asked where his food comes from and he says, oh, it comes from the grocery store. Well, what we're doing is trying to take that education beyond the grocery store and to say, this is how your food is grown, and all the way from seeding up until harvest and even into the sales. We try to give those students a really great experience.
Well, really, things that I like for myself is that I like to keep busy. I can do, you know, everything here. It's better than being inside and being bored. I get to be outside and get to work hard, and I like to get dirty too. So I'm a person that likes to be that way. Plus, I get to see everything that's going on. And people come, I get to meet them, they're friendly, get to see my face and explain what's going on. And it helps me to always have people coming around, and I get to explain for them and get free vegetables, and it just makes me feel good, and it's just a really good experience.
Hi, my name is David Giannino, and I am the Urban Farm Manager for Allegheny Mountain Institute, and we're located at the Virginia School for the Deaf and Blind here in Stanton, Virginia. And today I'm going to talk to you about how do you grow your own garlic. Yes, you can grow your own garlic here in Virginia. It's a wonderful crop. If you have finished up your summer harvests, finish up your summer crops, you're done with tomatoes, or you're getting sick and tired of your summer crops, or even your spring crops, garlic is a great crop that you can put in, you know, at the end of the summer, towards the fall, and then you can put it in the ground and leave it in all winter long, and then you reap the benefits next summer. And so what we have here in front of you is a variety trial of many different types of garlics that we planted last September, and this is finally coming to fruition. But garlic is a great crop. You can order bulbs online, and you can get two varieties overall. There's what's called a soft neck garlic and a hard neck garlic. And you get different flavors and different attributes depending on if it's a soft or a hard neck garlic. But overall, it's dealer's choice. It's up to either sweetness or spiciness if you like. But here what we've done is we have planted a long 50-foot row of garlic, and we have them about 8 inches apart in 3 different rows. We've irrigated them with drip tape. We've got 2 lines of drip tape, and it's been plenty enough irrigation for these garlics. What you will do is, towards the end of the summer, you'll buy your bulbs, and you will plant them about 1/2 inch to 1 inch down. And then once they start to germinate, you're really going to want to start mulching them with either some straw or an alternative mulch. We have chosen to go with wheat straw, and it's nice, it's dense. You can pull it apart to pull weeds if they come up, and then you can put it right back down. But garlic is going to continue to grow over the winter, and it's going to be hardy up to about, depending on the variety of course, it will be hardy up to about 10 degrees. So you have a really great range of temperatures you can grow garlic in. So the garlic will grow all winter long if you maintain it and keep it mulched and keep it irrigated. And then what usually happens if you have the garlic that creates scapes, if you want to look right here, At this curlicue, this is called a scape, and garlic will shoot up this scape that you can actually harvest and use it for culinary cooking. It's sweet, it's got that garlic flavor, and it's delicious in a multitude of different items. But once that has done scaped, you will cut that off. But once you're ready to harvest, this garlic is going to be delicious. You're going to put it up and dry it. You'll put it up and keep it in a nice, cool, dry spot. And thank you for listening about how to grow garlic. And once again, my name is David Janino with Allegheny Mountain Institute.
Renowned animal behavior scientist Temple Grandin recently published a new book about working with livestock and how to use humane and safe handling practices on small farms. It is entitled Temple Grandin's Guide to Working with Farm Animals, and it's 192 pages in length. The book is divided into 3 parts, the first of which is all about understanding animal nature. It invites readers to learn how animals perceive the world around them, and it also provides valuable information on livestock genetics and learned behavior. Part 2 of this book explores the topic of working animals in pastures and pens. Readers will learn how to safely move animals through a chute and other handling facilities. The third part teaches people on small farms how to build animal facilities that are both safe and efficient for both the farmer and the animals. Dr. Grandin offers excellent information about the various layouts for corrals and working areas. We strongly believe that any young person who is involved with 4-H and FFA livestock shows, they should have a copy of this book. It teaches principles of animal behavior that will be useful for a lifetime. And as for older readers, hey, you can teach an old dog a new trick every now and then. We highly recommend this book to anyone involved in animal agriculture. Temple Grandin's Guide to Working with Farm Animals is published by Story Publishing and is available through a wide array of sources. Our Pearl of Wisdom this week comes from viewer Clark in Suffolk, Virginia, who says, "Some people succeed because they're destined to succeed, but most people succeed because they're determined to succeed." Thank you, Clark, for that pearl of wisdom. It is most appropriate for this particular episode of Virginia Farming. I would like to close by saying thank you to all the staff, the faculty, and the volunteers who work at the Virginia School for the Deaf and the Blind. What you do for the students is a true inspiration, and we appreciate what you do. Remember, you can catch our show anytime, anywhere at virginiafarming.com. Tune in again next week for another episode of Virginia Farming. I'm Jeff Ishii.
90 years ago, the Virginia Farm Bureau made our local farmers a promise to protect and preserve a way of life they work so hard to establish. We want to keep Virginia, Virginia. Anyone can be a Farm Bureau member, and there's a local Farm Bureau in every county. More information is at vafarmbureau.org.
Virginia soybean farmers are hard at work growing soybeans to produce products you use every day. Candles, soaps, even crayons can be made from soybeans. Remember, when you buy soy, you're helping to support American jobs, the economy, and our nation's energy security.
Would you like to put your business in front of rural America and the ag community every week? We have sponsorship opportunities available that will do just that. Contact us to find out how you can milk it for all it's worth.